the more I ran, I realized that it actually created time for myself. I mean, it's a general assumption that if you run, you'll be tired, you need more sleep. Actually, the days I do longer runs, I actually need lesser sleep. The body is fascinating. It's amazing, and more than the number of hours that you need, the amount of work you can get done during the day when you have had the morning adrenaline rush. It's much better. So I would say that everybody should find that one thing that gives them this kind of a high, and you will suddenly realize that it is not limited to fitness. It is mind, body. It kind of impacts work, it impacts family, and suddenly you will find that everything starts falling in place.
Hello, this is Santosh Shiva. Welcome back to another episode of RunYogi Diaries. That is Manish Dugar, a successful senior executive at a leading technology company who has made running a central part of his life for a long time. Running has helped him stay fit. It has given him a lot of joy and made him highly productive. Let's find out from Manish what got him to start running in the first place, how he motivates himself, how does he manage to include it in his extremely busy work schedule, especially with all the travel, how does he manage family expectations, and last but not the least, if there is more to running than just fitness. Hey Manish.
Good to catch up with you, Santosh.
Yeah, welcome to RunYogi Diaries. Thanks for taking your time out and joining us here on the podcast.
No, thanks for inviting me, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Manish, I'll let you first introduce yourself and then we'll dig in.
Sure. I don't know where to start. Born and brought up in Calcutta, gone through a corporate journey, born to a business family, never thought we'll be in a job, but ended up doing that for 25 years. But that also allowed me to do what I really passionate about, which is run. And, I guess that's the more topical thing on this discussion. But the 25 years of my career has coincided with the 25 years that I have run across different places. So happy to be here, and thanks, Santosh, for inviting me for this conversation.
It's a pleasure. So let's start there. Actually, you've been running continuously for what, 19 years? So you started in 1997.
Yeah, now a little more than 20 actually.
Yeah, but you ran like nonstop every day, starting in 97, and then I think you stopped in 2016, correct?
I stopped running every day in 2016. Actually, 2016 September. When I was running my 21K in an event, and when I was just about to finish, my legs hurt so much. I literally crawled to cross the finish line. And after that, when I went to the doctor, I was diagnosed with hypothyroid, and my creatine levels in blood was 8,500, which is supposed to be at 5. Wow. So the doctors literally said, it's a miracle that you are even standing up, because your muscles are as brittle as a chalk at this point in time. So, you should be at bed rest. So I looked at the doctor and said, does it mean I can't run every day? He said, you can't get up to go to the loo. So it's like, so it was that bad. So since then, I have been advised to run only alternate days.
But let's do a flashback, right? So you ran every day starting 1997 for about 19 years, which is, if I do the math, it's about close to 6,900 days plus, give or take.
Absolutely.
You ran every day, which is amazing. Okay. Which is amazing. Absolutely. And, so why did you run every day for 6,900 days? What was the motivation?
To begin with, it was a desire to solve for my health issues, and then before I knew, it became addiction. So I'm not one of those guys who makes annual resolutions, and I'm also I try to call myself disciplined. My family says I have an OCD, but if I have something that I decide I will do, then I can't stop myself from doing it. So
Just as a point of clarification, you use the word OCD, but I think you meant it as a colloquial term, not clinical term, correct?
I yes, absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
right. So just so that people who are listening to this, it's not like you're clinically diagnosed with OCD or anything. It's just that you mean that you get obsessed with things that you love and you're passionate about, and
Yeah.
it's not to be confused with the clinical term OCD, and you're not in any way an OCD in that sense. Just to
No, no, no,
clarify.
no, no, absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. So, what I did is I said I have to create a fail-safe plan to make sure that I am taking care of my health. And so I said I'll need to do my prayers before I eat anything in the morning, in the day rather. And I'll pray only after I have my bath, and I'll have my bath only after I have my exercise. And I chose an exercise which doesn't need any equipment, doesn't need any support, and it can't be better than running. So that's how it started. And uh, like I said, that OCD helped, so I didn't miss it. There were times when these are the days when traveling to US from India used to be 37 hours, especially from Bangalore, because you go from Bangalore to some place, from there you take a flight to somewhere in Europe, from there you go to JFK or a Newark, and then you take another flight to Tennessee, Nashville, right? So 36 hours. But I had to run in every 24 hours. So I would take a break journey, or rather my Europe destination would be where I would put my luggage in the locker, I would run on the airport. So I made sure that I was running once in 24 hours every day of those number of years.
But you created a system, you created a method which allowed you
Yes.
to kind of navigate, your day to day with, and get that the job done, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I would rather say two things. One, the system was forcing me to do it. And secondly, it was in life we make choices, right? There would be days when I had when literally come back from office at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I had to get up again at 5. I could have made two choices. I could have either slept for those 3 hours, or I could have ran. And in my mind, somehow it was wired that if I have to give up something, the running will be the last. Everything else, whether it is sleep, whether it is food, whether it is rest, everything else was, you know, would first be given up before I would give up running.
That's a great tip, because most people struggle with how do I fit in fitness, and everything
Yeah.
else takes precedence, right? And somewhere what you're saying is I just organized my life around that one activity which you believed would be beneficial for your health, which was running, and you loved running, and then everything else organized around it. And you're a busy executive. It's not like
Yeah.
you had a lot of time. You're one of the young, young gun executives in the Indian IT sector. So it's not like you had all the time in the world. But so the way you really organize yourself is fascinating, and it's a great tip for people who give excuses for not finding time to work out.
No, absolutely. And the more I ran, I realized that it actually created time for myself. I mean, it's a general assumption that if you run, you'll be tired, you need more sleep.
Mhm.
Actually, the days I do longer runs, I actually need lesser sleep. The
Yeah.
body is fascinating. It's amazing. And more than the number of hours that you need, the amount of work you can get done during the day when you have had the morning adrenaline rush, it's much better. So I have the days, till 2016, and then after that also I had days of 2-3 kilometers of run, and then 35-40 kilometers of run. I'm leaving aside the longer ones, the 70 kilometers and all. The days I would have run 20, 25, I would have more energy during the day than I would have done 3, 4. So I
Yeah.
think and I guess it's also uh, people call it runner's high, people call it meditation. After the first few kilometers, you are in that zone where you are now not worrying about muscles, you are not worrying about breath, you are not worrying about what's happening around you. You have completely gone away from the day to day, and you are in different mindset altogether. So I guess the body starts looking forward to it. So most people say weekends are coming and I'll have a longer sleep. I will have nice food. I'm actually looking forward to getting up early morning and going for my run.
I think that's a true runner speaking. If you get a couple of runners together, that's what they're talking about. How long
Oh,
can we go this
absolutely.
weekend, right? But
Absolutely.
I get asked the same question. What are you doing for the weekend? And I can't tell a non-runner, man, I'm happy doing my runs. I don't have to think about anything else. I mean,
Exactly.
I think if I keep saying that to people who are non-runners, they might think, what's wrong with this guy? But that's
Absolutely.
true. But what
Yeah.
you're saying is that's absolutely true. So are you competitive?
I don't do much of events, but I compete with myself.
Hmm.
So I have been always looking at distance and time both. And if the thyroid situation wouldn't have hit me, I would have probably crossed my highest. So 2016 September, uh, when I had to stop running every day. If you take trailing 12 months, I did 3,700 miles
Wow.
in the trailing 12 months, and that was my highest till that point in time. So effectively, approximately 300 miles every month, 10 miles plus a day. And uh, my goal was to, it was not that I was running 10 every day, but on an average, that is how it would be. So I would start with a smaller number, and then Saturday, Sundays would be really big. And my biggest non-stop was 68 kilometers. And I remember I had landed in New York, and it was a Sunday. Normally I would not spend a weekend away from home. So this was one of those days when I was in New York early morning, landed at 2 a.m. Got into the hotel. I would typically stay. Wipro had this deal with Hilton in Manhattan. So I would check it in, and then I had nothing to do. I was not getting sleep. So I said, let me go to the Central Park and do a quick walk and come back. I had my shorts and t-shirts, and I thought I'll run to Central Park and come back. That would be about 2.5 kilometers. I went there. I saw a group of people running. I started running with them, and I didn't realize that 4.5 hours went, and I finished 48 kilometers by the time I was back to the hotel. So it was, I would have probably done more and more, but after that, what I have now done is, I have focused a bit on my speed. So I used to be doing about a kilometer in 10 minutes, at a speed of 10.7, 10.8 kilometers. Now that has improved to, I finish in 4 minutes 45 seconds, 4 minutes 50 seconds. And the days I don't run, I have now started doing climbing. So I now
Mm.
do stairs, 140 floors up and down every alternate day. So now I'm doing about 10 miles running and 140 floors, alternate days.
Wow.
So I try
So
and challenge myself to
mm,
do more and more, not so much compete with others.
yeah, no, that's well said on the competition. I think a lot of time people get caught with trying to compete with somebody who's faster. But if
Yeah.
going by what you're saying, if you're just competing with yourself, that's good enough because you have a lot to cover. Just trying to get
Yeah.
better than what you were yesterday. So
Absolutely.
so how do we work in the tech industry, how do you respond to when somebody says, hey, why are you doing this, why don't you just moderate? And there are a lot of myths around running and fitness, right? A lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
people would say, hey, you would hurt yourself, the knees can get hurt. How do you typically respond to when people come and advise you unsolicited, especially people who are concerned about you?
Uh, you know, uh, so let me give an analogy. After air, water is something that we consume the most, right? And a lot of ailments that we end up having is because of water. So when I started all of this, I also started drinking only boiled water. So at home, and for those many years, I have been well. Obviously, when we are traveling and you do adjust with mineral water, and at hotel you try and heat it in the teapot, and then boil it and drink it. But I've been drinking boiled water. And the same question I used to get asked, that, you are drinking boiled water, but what if few times you don't get boiled water? So the response to that would be that, if there are 10 times I'm drinking, and if 9 times I can actually drink boiled water, I won't give that up because that one time I can't get the boiled water, right? So it's the same thing. I mean, first of all, if you do things right, and body is an amazing, fascinating machine. It tells you, it has all the dials and the bells and the whistles, right? It will tell you when something is going wrong. So if you listen to yourself, if you listen to your body, I think, you don't need to go to doctor or anybody else. And don't push yourself beyond when the body doesn't let you, right? So there are few things that since I have been running so long, I have and I started when there was no training, no coaching. So I have learned over the years, but now there is a lot more tech support available. There is a lot of material that you can read. But if you are a little bit disciplined about, first of all, warming up before the run, stretching and cooling down after the run, and then if you have crossed 40, which I have, do a bit of weight training so that you are not losing your muscle fat. Make sure that your diet is appropriate, make sure that you are hydrated and your salts are taken care of, especially when you are doing, now since I have been running for this long, if it is 10 kilometers or so, I don't have to do any preparation. If it is 20K, I carry a bit of salts. And if it is even longer, then I carry my water backpack and I carry maybe a bit more salt. But uh, preparing for a very long run by carb loading and making sure that, because salt, water, hydration are the two most essential, other than warm up and stretches after the run. So if you do this consistently, and if you are disciplined about a few of these things, and then obviously your posture should be right, you should be landing on your midfoot, you should be making sure that you are not flat footed, your shoes are appropriate. So I run on a flat, the barefoot equivalent. I mean, I can't run on barefoot because it blisters on the leg, but it's like essentially a barefoot running shoe. So if you over the period of time, ensure you are taking care of some of these things, the fact that it hurts knees and it's not good for the long run is a myth. I mean, I don't, having run for so long, I actually don't think I have any challenges. And now, actually, what I realize is with my climbing, uh, actually, the best thing to do is to have something equivalent of a climbing, either a cycling or a climbing, to alternate with your run, because that strength improves your performance even more. So the fact that I can now do a kilometer in 4 minutes 45 seconds would have been almost a dream to me if I had not actually done this strength training. So uh, if you get to the play point where you can't run anymore, and your knees are hurting, you can always move to fast walking at that point in time. But don't not start, because you will eventually get to
Yeah.
that state. And now, by the way, there are enough and more technology available to replacement of knee, and you can do all of those. Hopefully you don't need to get there, but and then there are equipments which actually tell you your state on a regular basis. So I wear a Garmin, and it tells me my heart rate, it tells me my VO2 max, it tells me my stress levels, and it also actually does the blood test kind of, and tells you, are you crossing that threshold of creatine. So I would say that it's much easier today than it used to be before. But even in the earlier days, I won't have not thought of not running.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree with you. And I think you touched upon an important point about this, myth of running and knees. Not that any of us here are medical professionals, but if you Google and you read a lot of articles about correlation between, effect of running on the positive impact to knees is also a lot of
Yeah.
is there, because your the running activity is forcing or generating juices in the body that's keeping the knees in good shape. Of course, a lot of people who start late need to take care and do the right things before they can start running in high volumes. Right, you've been running for so long, so you're speaking it's a second nature for you. You've gotten
Yeah.
to a point where the body is adapted. So absolutely, point on, I mean, spot on those things. Now, in terms of family, now, you taking weekends off, you're out running. How do you balance your priorities with family when you do this?
Uh, so till about 7 8 years back, when I used to be with Wipro, most of my time I used to be traveling. Means last 2 days in 2 years that I was with Wipro, I used to be away from home 240 days in a year. I used to be literally back home only on the weekends. So,
Wow.
and wherever I was, and that was one of the good things about my travel. I would have hated traveling otherwise, because imagine, you are in all the parts of the world that you can imagine. Running outside the King's Palace in Japan, running on the Freedom Trail in Boston, running in Yosemite and Yellowstone, running in Great Wall of China, running in New York, Central Park, running in the Crooked Lane in San Francisco, running in Hyde Park at London, running on the Thames, running in Scotland, running in I can go on, running in Singapore, in near Jurong Bird Park, running in so I guess the and by the way, at home in Bandra, near the riverfront, in Worli Sea Face, near Marine Drive. I don't think people who are are working in uh, as career executives, which require a lot of travel, do anything but land at the airport, go to the office, you know, check in the hotel, meet the client, get back to the airport, take a flight, and get back. They would have traveled maybe more number of countries than I would have, although I kind of have touched almost all the continents and a lot of countries. But none of them can claim to have seen as much of the world as I would have, especially on foot in running. So I think that is how it used to be when I was with Wipro. And having come into the startup world, I think there is a work community which makes you do some of this. And typically, my timings are early morning. So I would go early, and by the time family would have gotten up and got into the routine, I would be back home. I would not miss a breakfast with family, and except on those crazy Saturday Sundays when I was doing twice or thrice a run in the day. But then I guess family also understands that beyond, in few occasions I would get the leeway of taking time off for myself. But yeah, it has. I don't think I have ever felt challenged in terms of compromise between family and run. And in many ways, it was also me time. It was also the meditation time, but not. I don't think I ever felt it was a compromise. Family also adjusted with my schedule, I would say. They knew that when this is the time when they can finish up other things, and I'm not here.
Yeah, great. And I think they also get a better package back.
Absolutely,
He's like a
absolutely,
happier man back home. Okay, he's done. Same thing at my place. He's finished his running, so now he's available for us fully.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that is well said. So coming back to an interesting point you raised earlier on, which is running as meditation, right?
Yeah,
So a lot of people think running is this physically demanding activity, which is true. It is demanding on your body, but there is an element of the mind that a lot of people don't talk about. Uh,
yeah.
Love to hear your views on that.
For me personally, actually, apart from the adrenaline rush that you get because your cardio levels are really high, and especially at the current speed that I run and the distance that I run, even with the 16 kilometers, 10 miles, my heart is pumping, and my peak heart rate goes to 170 plus, even though my resting heart rate is 48, 49. But what I what I find more, or rather, which is the bigger reason for me to look forward to it, is that after the first 2.5 kilometers, when the muscles are just opening up, and there is a little bit of resistance in the mind. Should I not? Should I not? After that 2.5 kilometers, then the body basically says, now don't stop. I have to literally put an alarm saying, this is the time limit I have, after which I need to stop. Otherwise, it's you are your mind is now in a different place. It's not thinking about a call yesterday, or a call tomorrow, or a some stuff to be done at home. It's a it's a I mean, I would say that's the stillest, or rather the least active mind that I can get at any point in time. It's decluttered. It's not crowded with too many things. I don't I don't take music along with me. So what I do is I normally do my Hanuman Chalisa while I'm running. So this time helps me finish that as well. So as I'm doing that, slowly, I am away from any electronics. I'm not looking at my mails, my texts. I'm not thinking of anything. And I guess it's difficult for one to get to that. At least it's been difficult for me to try and get to that state by sitting still at home. What I can achieve while I'm running. So physical exertion of the body does not mean you can't achieve stillness of mind, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's probably accelerates a point where once. So here's what my view on it is that uh, when you're running and you're running beyond a certain period, you are transcending pain in a way, and then you're reaching a
Yeah,
point where you are free from pain. And
absolutely.
so that is a point where which you call as runner's high or whatever. But have you had an out of body experience while running?
uh, Once in a while, I don't know if you will call it that, but I have felt as if I am observing myself from outside.
Yeah,
I have, and interestingly, when the pain becomes a pleasure,
yeah,
we use it in very different ways, but you start wanting more pain. I know that. So I'll tell you, very interesting, and this is very, very personal. I mean, I may not have shared this with anybody, but so now this pandemic thing happened, right? Last 5 6 months, and it has limited the places that I can go for a run. Most of the times I'm running in my apartment complex, which is a 600-meter round, and the place that I run on is also where the cars use that same road to exit and enter the apartment complex. Now, for some reason, I have this thing that I can't let a car cross me, right? So uh, till I get to that gate where the car gets out, if I hear a car which is starting to come, on the same direction, I accelerate so much that I'm faster than the car. And some of those are moments when I am watching me from myself from outside. On one side I'm looking at the car, on the other side I'm looking at myself, and I'm saying, is the car gaining on me? Is the car going to take over? And I would say, I do about 30 rounds of the apartment complex. There would be 15 times when I would have heard some car which is coming. I probably have made sure that 14 out of those 15 times I don't let that get ahead of me. And these are real out of body moments for me. Means, the Garmin gives you that tracker, right? What has been your speed every kilometer.
yeah,
So some of those 500 meters I have run at 17, 18 kilometers an hour. And I've tried doing that on the treadmill. I mean, I find it extremely hard to do that for more than 100 meters if I'm doing at 17, 18 kilometers an hour. But this is those moments when something is, you don't even know what got into you,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
are looking at yourself and you are saying, oh man, is this me running? And then on the other side you are saying, this car is coming. So I think that is one moment. And the other moment is when uh, you are suddenly you have not, some of those days are days when you don't have limitations on time, right? You got up really early, you went out and you said, today till I get tired, I will continue. So I don't put an alarm. And then after a while, you suddenly look at, and this is when you are not running in the complex, because then you are counting the number of times you have done, right? So you have some track of distance, etc. This is when you have just started and you are saying, I'll go as long as I can, and then I'll revert, or I'll start back when time has, when suddenly I've started feeling tired. And if required, I can continue going. And when I'm completely tired, I'll take a cab and come back. So then you don't know how much distance you have gone, right? You have not kept track. Suddenly, when you look at your watch, and on the watch also you can change the dials, right? So I have kept it intentionally only on the dial which shows the the heart rate, nothing else. So when I have now suddenly thought that, oh man, am I really, sun has risen. I started at 4:30. So how much time have I been running? And then when you look at it, and then you look at yourself from outside, is this real? Means, is this something that I have really done? And so there are moments like that, but yeah, I,
Yeah, I can
when
relate to that.
when you say so, I can actually think of so many moments like that.
No, I can relate to that, and this may sound like mumbo jumbo to a lot of people, but
Yeah,
I do believe that as runners, endurance, especially endurance runners, you do end up experiencing some of these moments like what yogis would describe
yeah,
as, suddenly there is this detachment between your physical existence and this is awareness that there is. We keep talking of ourselves as awareness, pure
yeah,
consciousness.
yeah,
I've personally experienced it, and you are saying it, and I'm sure if you talk to each runner, endurance runners especially, they would have experienced some form of this where they just at a point of pure consciousness, and they're suddenly seeing everything as a third party,
yeah,
including your own
absolutely.
body. It sounds very weird. It sounds very mumbo jumbo. And if you say this to someone who's not doing this, it's like, what's wrong with this guy? He's crazy. But it happens. You experience it, and
Yeah,
it's a
no,
form of,
absolutely,
and that's why I think running or any form of endurance sports for that matter is like kind of a yoga, because you're kind of, it's like a union with the consciousness and stuff. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
a little abstract and deep, but it happens. It
No,
happens.
absolutely, completely agree with you.
Yeah, and that's why we keep going back.
I mean, it's annoying at times for people who know me well, because, we are in a social setting and suddenly I found someone who is a runner, and then the whole conversation gets hijacked.
Yeah,
It's extremely hard to even stop talking about it. So,
that is true.
yeah,
That is true. That's true with all parties, all runners. It can get annoying for other
yeah,
people. So yeah,
absolutely.
that is well said. Um, so in terms of food, any do you indulge in food, or are you a very disciplined eater, or do you have any post race guilt pleasures or post run guilt
I,
pleasures?
if there is one thing that has been a motivator for me to run, it has been food. Because, what I have realized is, uh, because of whatever physical activity that I do, running, and now running plus climbing, I actually don't have to even think how much and what I'm eating. And I enjoy my food. So, and I enjoy everything that is not supposed to be eaten. So, being a Marwadi, a lot of ghee, a lot of fried stuff, and a lot of sugar. And so I try to make sure that the essential salts and the protein is, because I'm a vegetarian too. So I try and make sure that I eat stuff which gives me enough of my protein and, my required dose of salts and energy. But other than that, I enjoy my food and I eat, what tastes good. So not necessarily what is healthy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a big driver for me, because I really want to make sure that, you know uh, uh, there are people who try and be fit by eating less, and then there are people who try and be fit by burning more. So I prefer the latter than the former.
Yeah, and I also think that movement is natural for us as human beings. And I don't know if
Yeah,
you've read this book called Christopher McDonald's McDougall's book,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Born to Run.
Absolutely.
So that was a book that really was very enlightening in that sense that as human beings, we have two-legged beings, animals, and we are the only ones who can sweat. So we are
Yeah,
designed to run. We're designed to do the slow run. It's not like everybody has to be Usain Bolt who's sprinting, which is just about
absolutely.
100 meters, 200 meters, but we are
Yeah,
designed to run long. And that's the and so from a health perspective, I think if you're doing something natural that's aligned with your design, that's probably
yeah,
better in the long run, right?
completely agree. I think uh, the the near past realization for me when I till about 2016 it was all about more and more kilometers run. It was not about performance, it was not about speed. And I was naturally very comfortable running at 10.7, 10.8 kilometers. And uh, after 2016, when I have started thinking of doing a little faster, I've realized that there are various technical terms used, right? There's a VO2 max, and then there is a muscle strength, and so on and so forth. But what I've realized is that depending on how you have trained your body, there is a certain speed and there is a certain distance which if you run, it is ideal. Anything more than that may also not be great unless you train yourself for more. And anything less is that much less efficient.
Absolutely. And I think, it's a journey, right? And,
Yeah,
and in this podcast, one of the things that I want to bring to fore is that this is a journey. This is not a
yeah, yeah,
one-time event. Someone like you who's been doing this for 20 plus years, for you, what's next for you is different from somebody who's starting yesterday. Think of
yeah,
this as a journey. You're getting in a train. There are multiple stations. You may want to, you climb you climb the hills in your neighborhood. Now suddenly you want to climb the mountain
yeah.
in the Rockies and then the Himalayas. So it's a journey, right? So that's absolutely well said there. Now, one question I had is when you in 2016, when you dealt with this breakdown, how did you deal with that? And from a psychological perspective, how was it for you? And how did you come out of that?
Now, for me to fall down, the first thing that came to my mind is, oh shit, I'm now, will this mean I can't run? Right? Then when I went to the doctor said you have to be on bed rest. The first question was, okay, so this is curable, but does bed rest mean at least temporarily I can't run? Because I'm someone who has, and mind you, this is now a combination of not having got addicted to running and the OCD that, oh man, I have not missed a day. How can I now miss?
Mhm.
Right? So to deal with the fact that the first day when I am not running after so many years, that was a big, it was, I had to cross that hurdle. But slowly you get to that point where you realize that you have a choice to make. Either you don't run at all, because if you push yourself, like I said, body tells you what it can, what it can't, right? If you push yourself, you will never be able to run. Alternatively, if you follow a plan, you probably may do half of it. And the other days when you're not able to, how do you compensate for what you are missing? What are you missing? You are missing the adrenaline rush, you are missing the meditative state. Now climbing still does not give me that meditating state, but it does give me the adrenaline for sure, because I am, my heart rates are high, I am doing 140 floors. So I guess it is difficult to adjust, especially for someone who has been doing it for that long. But you know I'm fortunate and I'm lucky that the good sense prevailed, because if I had not done that and if I had not been able to run at all today, I would have been in a miserable state. I think now body has gotten used to alternate day running, and I'm actually slowly, like it takes time to train yourself to get to where I was in 2016. I think now I've gotten used to and trained to get to where I am. And while we hear of Fauja Singh and his mom running at 100 years age, I'm hoping I can do that too. But now I know that there is a gradual, cooling down also, that body can take, because the important thing is to, be able to do this till the last moment rather than, get a peak and then stop doing it completely.
Manish, awesome, very, very deep conversations. I guess it's time to wrap up. We can keep going on for hours on this conversation.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up, I know we've touched upon many things you've learned through a process of self-discovery when we didn't have as much material. And any key, message you want to give?
I think everyone finds their own MO, as they say, right? And For me, it has been, I mean, fortunately, I found it, and I have enjoyed every step of the way, and running has been the in thing for me. I know people who find similar excitement in swimming. I know people who find similar excitement in doing various things.
Mhm.
I would say that everybody should find that one thing that gives them this kind of a high. And
Yeah.
you will suddenly realize that it is not limited to fitness. It is
Mm.
mind, body. It kind of impacts work. It impacts family, and suddenly you will find that everything starts falling in place. Things
Mm.
will work out for you much better than, I mean, it's not like you can call it karma, you can call it superstition, but things have its way of working out if you have
Mm.
one thing which you are so excited about, and that kind of keeps you going every day. So
Yeah.
I would urge everybody to find their one thing. And if it is running, please join me on my Garmin and Nike Plus, and we can run together even though virtually.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Manish. Was a pleasure to have this conversation, and keep at it. Continue the journey. Hope you continue to push those limits and discover new hacks and which you can share to the world. Right. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks so much, Santosh. Really appreciate giving this opportunity. I hope those who listen to this find an inspiration, and even if it changes one individual's journey, I would really feel great about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.